You can do it, Joe, Chad yelled at baseball practice the next day. Joe stood at bat staring down Adam Ackerman, who was playing pitcher for the other team. Joe's team was down 3-1, and practice was nearly over, but the bases were loaded. He knew he had to get on base. Adam sprinted at him and let loose a curveball. Joe bit his lip, put back the bat, and swung to the strike. He heard a sharp crack and saw the ball take flight. Joe dropped the bat and took off running for first base. Speedy Zamaniel was playing second base, and Joe could see her running for the ball, then backing up to get behind it. It bounced off her glove, then fell to the ground. She scrambled for it, managed to get it into her glove, and then ran back to second base just in time to get the runner from first base out. Even worse, she reeled back and made a perfect throw to third base. Joe's stomach sank. The third baseman caught it just as the runner from second tried to slide in. Double play. That made 3 outs. Okay kids, let's call that a practice, the coach told, and Joe sank down to the grass. Darn that Speedy Zamaniel. She was always outplaying him and he was sick of it. He sighed. Be sportsmanlike, he heard his dad saying in his head. It's nice to win, but it's more important to be a good sport. Joe reluctantly got to his feet and started walking back to the dugout, where his teammates were collecting their things. Speedy was walking in from second base, and she fell into step beside him after a few feet. That was a good hit, Joe, she said earnestly. Then she broke into a smile. Too bad the best second baseman in the whole league was there to catch it. Joe groaned. Sportsmanlike, he reminded himself. That was a good play, Speedy, he muttered. Thanks, Speedy replied, his smile widening. Hey, if you and your brother ever need any tips, I'd be happy to give you some private coaching. Sportsmanlike, Joe thought as he plodded into the dugout. Sportsmanlike. Hey Joe, hey Speedy, Frank stepped forward to greet them. Joe, did you ask her already? Joe looked blankly at his brother. Asked her? About Susie, Frank reminded him. Oh right, Joe remembered now. Hey Speedy, he said as she hauled her backpack onto her back. Do you know a Susie Zamaniel? Is that a relative of yours? Speedy stared at him. A relative? That's my mom, she explained, looking over at the parking lot. Actually, she's supposed to pick me up at any minute. Why? Frank met Joe's eyes. Is your mom involved with the Bayport Battle of the Bands? He asked her. Speedy turned back to face him. Yeah, she said, my mom used to tour as a backup singer for this funk band, the McNona Brothers. Maybe you've heard of them. Joe nodded. He was pretty sure his dad had McNona Brothers record. He could remember the cover with a bearded guy on the front. Sure, Speedy shrugged. Anyway, she loves music. So 3 years ago she had the idea for Bayport Battle of the Bands. She turned back to the parking lot where a black SUV had just put in. Hey, there she is. You guys wanna ride? Joe looked at Frank. They planned to walk, but it would be great to get a chance to talk to Speedy's mom. That would be great, Frank said. They walked over to the SUV and Speedy asked her mom if she'd give the boys a ride. She happily said yes, and Speedy and the boys piled into the back seat. Hey, so can I ask a question, Mrs. Zamano? Joe asked once they were on their way. Mr. Zemeniel caught his eyes in the rearview mirror. Sure, you run the Bayport Battle of the Bands? Mr. Zemeniel smiled. I sure do, she replied, making a left turn. But I can't get you backstage if that's what you were going to ask. Oh, that's not it, Joe said. He explained that Lucy had gone missing at Paul's party. Then he told her what he and Frank had talked about, that maybe someone from one of the other bands might know something. Mrs. Zemeniel looked concerned. That's terrible, she said. I feel just awful for Dylan. He's a nice kid and a very talented musician. But boys, you know everyone is innocent until proven guilty, right? I'm okay with you asking the other bandmates some questions, but I don't want you to accuse them without knowing they did something wrong. Frank leaned forward. Oh, we understand, Mrs. Zemeniel, he said. Asking questions is all we do. We just want to get some information. Mrs. Zemeniel looked thoughtful. Okay, she said finally. She just put onto the boys' street. Is that your house? The brothers directed her into the driveway, and as they pulled out, Mrs. Zemeniel got out and opened the trunk to pull out a folder. This car is my mobile office, she told Joe with a smile. Joe just nodded. It sounded like something his dad would say. From the folder, Mrs. Zemeniel put out a crisp white printout. Here's the flyer I've been passing out, she said, handing the sheet to Joe. It has just the website and contact person for each band. Just remember what I told you, kids. Innocent until proven guilty. Sure, Joe muttered, but he was distracted. He looked at the sheet and gotten a big surprise. Bye, kids, Mrs. Zemeniel said, climbing back into the driver's seat. Speedy waved through the window. See you later. Frank and Joe waved as soon as the SUV reached the end of the driveway. Joe grabbed his brother's arm. Check it out. He held up the sheet and pointed. Under the band, the Mean Wheelies, a familiar name was listed. Frank saw it and gasped. Adam Ackerman.